All right, fastest 15 minutes in social media, fastest 15 minutes on the internet. My name is Judson Powell. I got so much to talk about today, but I had to narrow it down to one because people have been coming at me. Of course, they've been coming at me about Ice Cube because I don't agree with y'all. I'm sorry, but we have to agree to disagree. And they coming at me about spirituality. So I chose the spirituality, trying to make my woman happy. Plus, there's so much stuff out there about Ice Cube. Hey, he did what he did. It's all over. Anyway, so my Bible thumpers started coming out the woodwork over the weekend, and I'm like, what's going on? Why y'all hating on? This guy told me don't talk about the Bible and all this kind of stuff, and he was kind of upset. And he started talking about miracles and all of this kind of stuff. And so my whole thing is, okay, just like you can say, first of all, the universal law of polarity, right? As above, so below, right? And basically, what we don't realize is that everything is on a continuum, right? So there's not going to be too much that you can say or do that's gonna like change my mind or anything, and certainly not quoting Bible verses from a Bible that was written by a homosexual pedophile in the 1600s. Okay, so stop coming at me with verses like, and all this stuff is provable. It's not like I'm just talking out the side of my neck or whatever. It's all provable. So here's the thing, he was like, well, I believe in miracles and all this kind of stuff. Well, I believe in miracles too. I mean, I am a miracle. I've been near death a few times. And so why was I near death? Or why do bad things happen to good people? Just like everybody ain't a wretched, low-lifed sinner, because even when I was a pastor, one of the questions that people used to ask me all the time is, well, why did this happen? In fact, one of the reasons why I started reading the Bible was because my grandfather died. My namesake, Judson B. Powell, Sr., he died. And when he died, I wanted to know, well, why did he die? That was my man's. Why you take him? And so that's a part of it. That was why I even started to study and read and do everything that I did. That was the motivation, the catalyst for me to start like researching religion and all that kind of stuff. So the bottom line is that was my catalyst. And then as I started studying, but I've never been the type of person that just took things for face value. I've never been that type of person. I always like to read. I always like to study. I always like to dig deeper and to find out what things are. And then as I started to do that, and things started to be revealed to me, even on the spiritual level. I never considered myself to be like a spiritual person. I was always caught up in the muse, right? And then all of a sudden, I started to realize, oh my goodness! And I had read the book of Coming Forth by Day. I read that when I was a teenager, but I just read it because it was a book that was in the house, and I never took it seriously. And my grandmothers, they kept taking me to church, so I had no clue. I mean, I had a clue, but I was thinking like it was like mostly fiction or whatever. So then when I started studying deeper, because I remember when I first got saved, and this was the wife. What got me saved in the first place? It was the wife. I wasn't saved. I was like y'all Christians be telling us being saved. I wasn't saved, and at least not in the sense of the biblical terminology of being saved. But I still lived according to the principles of the Bible because that's all I knew, and that's really what most people are. Just like, and I tell people, like, a lot of it is just logistics. Like if I was born in Saudi Arabia, 9 times out of 10, I would be a Muslim, right? It's just logistics. It's like where you were born, or if I was, if you were born in an Asian country, you'd be, Hindu or Buddhist, or an atheist. So you got to realize that all of this stuff is all man-made. And it's all cultural. A lot of it is cultural and logistics. It has nothing to do with the fact that there's like this all powerful, all seeing, being. And the other thing is, there's too many people on the earth. There's too many people on the earth. And the other thing is, I've never believed, even when I was saved, I never believed that that God would just wipe out everybody because God, hated everybody because they sinned. I never believed in that concept, because I was like, well, there's a lot of good people, just like there's a lot of good people that bad things happen to. How do you explain it? Just like you say miracles, well, there are also tragedies. What is it? Law of correspondence, right? Everything is on a continuum, and everything is on balance, or either it's out of balance. Why are there evil people? Why would God create an evil person? And what about free will? Take into account free will and all that kind of stuff. What about free will? I mean, really, when you really think about it, what about free will? And we know that there's a law, a universal law of cause and effect, right? There's certain things that happen because of the actions that you took, but religion takes accountability or the other factors out of people's lives. That's why that's why most Christians, that's why do you think Donald Trump doesn't feel accountable for anything? It's not that he's such a devout Christian or anything like that, but he's like, hey, it's not my fault, I didn't do it or whatever. And maybe even sometimes spiritual folks blame the universe or karma too much. I read an article about that one time, and it might be true. But here's the one fact that I can almost assuredly assure you is that you are the result of your decisions and your actions. You are the result of that, right? You are the result of your decisions and your actions. Things that you do have consequences. Just like everybody didn't vote for Hillary, Trump is president. So I'm just saying, there are consequences, and what's the consequences and repercussions to everything. And most of the stuff that happens is you. And most of the stuff that doesn't happen is you, because you never put forth action or anything like that, which is a universal law. The universal law, or you're vibrating at a certain level, or you allow yourself to vibrate on the level with other people. The old birds of a feather flock together. So you hang around and you do what other people do, and then all of a sudden that's how they get us. And I can even bring, I could bring a lot of things into this and say, look, that's why things happen. So just like you say a miracle, well, what about the lady who lost all her children, and she didn't do nothing, and she been living a good life all her life? So explain that. That's God too? So when you take the concept of netters and the fact of human nature, so why a guy walking down the street and somebody shoots him dead, and he's a good guy. We hear these stories all the time. So just like the person recovered from all this stuff, right? A person recovers from all this stuff, the bottom line is what? The bottom line is, it's like, okay, why did the person recover or whatever? Oh, it's a miracle. God did it. It's all, and that's how Donald Trump is. Donald Trump takes credit for everything good, and he blames everything else on somebody bad. That's the devil. But what we say in spirituality is what? It's like you're both. You're the devil and you're Christ. Both of those things reside inside of you. You have the ability to either be good or evil. Your own decisions is what makes it so that you're not good or evil. The devil, what was that? Flip Wilson, the comedian, he always used to say, the devil made me do it or whatever. The devil ain't made you do nothing. You wanted to do it either because it was pleasurable, it felt good, or the result of what you did was going to be beneficial to you. That's all you can say, right? That's all you can really say. You can't really, nobody makes you do anything. You do what you want to do because what? You have free will. There's a universal, and then nobody pays attention to the law of universal oneness, which means that we're all in this together. Whether we black, white, green, red, yellow, pink, blue, whatever color you are, the actions of others in this plane right now is going to actually coincide with what you do. If you, in fact, use the plane. If you're on an airplane and the pilot decides he wants to commit suicide, guess what? And you at 30,000 feet, do you have a choice? You see what I'm saying? And unless you can fly the plane and get in the cockpit and fly the plane, you dead with him. So that's why I try to get everybody to realize it's like, there is no, there. As far as what's going on, there is no one constant. And you can't say that it's all based on one principle or one thing because the universe is what? It's too vast. And we know that we are spirits on a human journey. We're just spirits. You're eventually, one day your spirit is going to leave your body and it's going to go wherever it goes in the universe. That's why we don't talk about dying or death or anything like that. What do we call it? We call it, we tell people, oh, they be like, rest in peace. How do you know that, there's rest? What I say is travel well, because you don't know where you're going. And all the concepts of heaven, hell, purgatory, and all of those were all made up by the Catholic Church so that they can make money off of you. Oh, your loved one was an evil man. So that he doesn't exist in hell, you can pay penance. Say 100 Hail Marys, turn around 5 times, give the church $1 million, and your loved one will be in heaven. And they did that. It's religion. Or if you're in purgatory, you're stuck, because that's what people believe that ghosts, that's what they are. They're stuck in between going to the next plane and this plane. And so because this plane is familiar with them, they keep coming back because they don't want to know what's in the next plane, or the next plane is evil for them or whatever, or it's not advantageous to them. Right? So that's the problem, and the concept of Ra, Amun Ra, we know the only thing that's consistent in every day is that what? Is that the sun, that's why we say grand rising, because we know that the sun has to come. If the sun doesn't come out, then everybody is gone. There is no planet. If the sun doesn't rise and shine every day, there is no planet. Everything is contingent. Everything scientifically, universally, is contingent on the fact that the earth continues to turn, on its axis, and that the sun comes up every day. That's what makes plants grow. That's what makes the oxygen. That's what, everything that happens is because of that sun. And you can't disprove it. If there is no sunlight, even your body needs sunlight for vitamin D. And if you don't get vitamin D, what happens? You get depleted and weak. Scientific fact. But you got all these people out here that try to deny science and all this kind of stuff. So that's why, when people say, well, yeah, I believe in God because he did a miracle in my life. Well, what about the people that had a tragedy done in their life? How do you explain it? That was God too, right? How do you explain it? And that's one reason why I started looking into Kemetic spirituality. Because I was like, well, this Bible don't explain none of that. And then when I realized what the Bible was, and once again, y'all, the Bible is a book of astrology and astrotheology. It talks about the moon, the sun, the stars, and the sky, because that's all that was there. And that's all that still is there. And the building of things and all that kind of stuff, all of that stuff is man-made. It's all man-made. Has nothing to do with the Most High, except for the Most High, gave you the ability to think have wisdom and knowledge. And that's it. But to tell me that everything is predicated on a Bible verse that was written by that wasn't even written by God. That's another thing. If y'all really realize the origins of the Bible, and like I said, Google the Hagia Sophia and Google all this stuff, all the Judeo-Christian religions were all made up and written by the same people. And we still fighting each other over them to this day. Anyway, Fast 15 Minutes is up. I went over, but I love you. Hit all the buttons, like button, subscribe button, notification button.